and sorry, I'm lagging a little bit, but also, Ileana, what's your ballpark estimate for the same question? How many are willing and how many are taken against their will?
I think we're tricked to be somewhat willing because they offer incentives to make you cooperative and willing cooperation. So they want you to cooperate. They want you to participate of your own free will choice, but they don't tell you what's involved fully in these programs. So you're operating in the dark to what you're agreeing. So it's a little bit willing and unwilling because you don't really know what you're signing up for until you're in it, and you don't really have a way out of the 16 back or the 20 and back, the 40 and back, whatever, 50 and back, whatever timeline percentage they put you in for service. And it's, for me, it was quantum leap time dilation. So it has time travel component involved because it's quantum and time dilation. But I think the percentage is hard to figure out because, again, they don't take you in as children to do these programs unless they found your gifts at birth. So sometimes you get on their radar as children, and then you're trained in these child programs. Think of Ender's Game, like that. That's a good example, that movie, where Ender, he had logistical skills and abilities to plan things out fantastically. So he was taken off world in the Space Academy to be trained. Sometimes that happens to kids and children who are extremely gifted when they're born. But a lot of our abilities develop as we become adolescents and older. The abilities activate. So I would say children is, for me, it's a low percentage that children are taken right away in the secret space programs. They wouldn't be because they have to be trained. It's easier to convince the adults to go with being offered incentives. So the percentage is hard to say. I know that, like, I've been in countries that participate in these programs. Canada, I'm in Canada. France does it, Germany does it, Russia does it, Israel does it. So, and I've lived in Israel. I've been in countries that have SSP programs and offer up their citizens. So, and again, this planet signed contracts with extraterrestrials like the US. So it doesn't really matter which country you're in, the ETs think we're available to be taken wherever, whenever. So it doesn't matter which country you're in. If they want you, they can take you. They don't have to have your free will permission, the ETs, to take you. These programs don't either. Some of them might be a bit more ethical than others, and some aren't, and they just use you. So it's really hard. It's really hard to give a percentage, but the US did consent to have their citizens abducted, literally, by SSP programs or ETs. There's no real differential between that. So that's kind of what I would say. I don't have percentages. It's hard to give a percentage because everything is based on experiences, and those people who choose to come forward and share those experiences, then you could start counting really the percentages. But unless people come forward and share their experiences, it's a little hard to give a percentage if you're not doing some kind of a system of tracking these percentages.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
And I didn't start getting either abducted that I know of. Well, I mean, obviously I got put down here by the Draco faction, but I don't remember started getting abducted or having ET encounters until after I phased through the door. So after that event happened, then I definitely started getting a lot more contact. So that makes sense, you know, because I got into the projects when I was about 5.5 to 6.
And Apollymi, do you think that all these loopholes and all this exploitation has anything to do with the fact that this is a beta universe where the laws of one don't work? And could you go over that a little bit?
So the beta universe is basically, it's kind of like a seed planet. And basically what it is it's an experimental universe where things can happen that cannot happen in full-fledged universes, because full-fledged universes are okayed by source, and you have to follow the actual laws of one, which I understand some people have been trying to bring over to this universe, and they're not full Hanovian laws, because full Hanovian laws cannot exist here. And the laws of free will here are not what people think. The law of free will is you can do anything to anyone else, bad or good, and you can't really do anything about it unless you have the power to do something about it. In Hanova, you are not allowed to interact with people in a negative aspect. You're not allowed to time manipulate. You're not allowed to teleport or disrupt the laws of nature, quantum nature. Otherwise, you can actually get put to death, which would be your consciousness just getting deleted pretty much and returned to source, or have another punishment, like being shoved into a beta universe. So, you know, and yeah, but the laws of one's, or the laws of free will still apply to this universe because it is not a whole universe yet. It still has to go through the ascension. Just like every seed planet has to go through an ascension. It has to prove itself that it is knowledged enough and evolved consciously enough to actually exist in a balance to be in a whole universe, or what if you want to say graduated universe from a beta. I hope that made sense.
Yeah. And I'll get back to that later on. But before that, what percentage of your SSP life has happened in what we would call third density, and how much happened in higher than that?
For me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, a lot of my SSP stuff is in this density. So in the third dimension, technically, or the fourth dimension, depending on which physics you want to go by. I do go dimensionally traveling. So either I can astral, or they can put me in in one of the dimensional trains and get me to a different dimension. In order to dimension hop, your physical form has to be able to vibrate correctly to raise to those dimensions. Otherwise, you're just going to break apart. Your atoms are just going to basically discombobulate themselves. So only certain species can actually dimensionally hop. Not every ET has abilities. Not every ET has the ability to raise their vibrations to the point where their physical mass can dissipate into the next dimension and have it still exist over there in one piece. So, you know, it depends. When I have my matrix suit off, and maybe you can explain my matrix suit since you do technology and have worked with it. My true form does not look like this. Okay, my true form, I have wings, a tail, and I have ears, a second set of ears on my head. And I know everyone's like, oh my God, furry stuff. No, seriously, like if you ever meet me in person and I actually condense my body enough and I break my matrix suit enough, you can see my eye sliver, my skin turns pretty pale and like pearlescent, my eyes change color. I've actually hit people with my tail on accident before, because when you're in this density, it basically my suit takes all my extra limbs and vibrates them to another dimension, another density. So sometimes when my suit breaks, it gets a little funky.
So do you actually like wear a technological suit, or is this your natural energy? What do you mean by matrix suit?
So maybe you can help me with this, because ever since I got into section 13, it took them about I'd say a half a year, maybe. I mean, I'm a kid, so time is kind of weird, but the first augments that I ever got was contact lenses, and this is back in the mid 80s. Okay, I know I look younger sometimes, but I got contact lenses that were like binocular vision. I got this little weird cellophane thin patch to go over here that had a wire that connected right here. I got an implant in my ear to do voice to skull technology. I got an actual implant in my head as well. And then they put this like weird wetsuit over me. And they told me that this would dampen my abilities in public because they couldn't have, you know, me going around and creating a fuss. At that young age, my powers were unstable. I was phasing through objects. I disintegrated a fork. So, you know.
Yeah, so what I'm understanding is these wetsuits or smart suits, they have an electromagnetic field around them. So they could literally shield you. They can cloak you. They could change your appearance as well.
Yeah.
They can dampen your abilities. The smart suits that Planetary Corp designs, they can make you invisible. They can make you fly because it works on a quantum level. It works beyond 3D physics. So your wetsuit just adjusts your ability to shrink it down instead of expanding it out. Because if you expanded out your abilities, your physical appearance would break and your real appearance would come forward with the ears, the tail, and I always got the sense when I was watching your videos that your eyes are different than what is real. Like I've always seen your eyes as black instead of blue. Like I've seen black lenses over your eyes.
Yeah, so my species actually in Hinova, we live in a nebula and physics are different over there. So my species has this nice little lens that can go over their eyes that's actually like sunglasses. Mm-hmm. So if we're actually fighting or near the sun, because the sun is our food source, we eat quanta quite a bit, you know, we can actually put that lens over our eyes so we don't, you know, get damage to our retinas.
Mm-hmm. I know your eyes aren't black, but I see like black lenses over your eyes always in videos. It just translates like as you have black eyes.
And I don't know if that's from the Matrix suit as well, because I do have a video. I ended up doing an interview and one of my friends stopped and actually captured part of my interview where this eye goes completely like white almost, like I have no pupil in this eye, and this one starts to slit.
Yeah.
And
I never see your pupils. I always see your eyes as black, like fully covered with black lenses. And I knew this wasn't like you putting in lenses to look different or anything. This is part of something that was inserted into you. It's part of your biological makeup, and it's part of a quantum energetic field. So I think it is connected to your wetsuit. And it's like the light on this planet is too sensitive for you. So these lenses protect your eyes as well on this planet.
So I started developing the ability to start seeing ultraviolet in certain perspectives. Like if I look at the clouds, I see nothing but purple rays coming down if the UV is really strong, and then the clouds will be a complete prismatic hue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense because these lenses protect you from the harsh sun that's on this planet. Like the light of the sun could literally damage your eyes if you didn't have these lenses. So I think that's partially why on this planet you need these lenses. And it's an energy. It doesn't read like physical lenses, it reads like energetics from another universe. And just watching your videos, that's the first thing as a psychic what came to me.
Wait, you watch my videos?
Yeah, Daniel sent me a few videos, so I've just kind of been like physically assessing you, and that something is very different about you. So what you've been describing, the lenses is the first thing I saw. Your eyes always look black to me. There's no pupil. I don't see a pupil. Obviously you have a pupil, but I see psychically as black. Yeah, I see black eyes. Your eyes are kind of blue, so blue-green, but I see them black always. I'm like, that's different. There's something different about her that comes from a different universe. So that's the signature. The lenses have a signature as being from a different universe. So I think that wetsuit keeps your ability contained so you don't split your ability on this planet. I think that's like, the design.
I know that when I start trying to make like an energy ball, or I get too upset, I can feel the vibration of my suit. And they've been trying to upgrade my suit for the last couple years, because, you know, the shifts in consciousness of this planet are evolving. I started going through my ascension process, and I managed to hit 7th level, and I literally phased in front of my friends, and they didn't know if I was gonna come back, you know, because it was more than just a couple seconds. Like, so, but my abilities were getting too chaotic. Like, I was having spurts of telepathy, which I shut off when I was a kid because I was in a bad environment, and, you know, I don't want to hear all that. And, you know, and I was getting so much feedback from the light sources. I could start to hear vibrations coming through the wires more. I was getting super frequency sensitive. I've never been able to hold my phone for more than 5 minutes without it feeling like, you know, pins and needles and like burning. But it was getting so bad that I couldn't even step out in sunlight. You know, the radiation from the sun was starting to hurt me. If I could not get my shielding frequency, my full body, but they're like, you can't have that much power here on the planet, you know, you'll disrupt the matrix. And I'm like, so
yeah, you need to live. So they adjusted your wetsuit frequency to better shield you. And again, that suit literally dampens the ability, so you don't get out of hand with your abilities, because you can increase your power levels. Like, I have nothing controlling my abilities. I can up and down whenever I want. I have very sensitive eyes to the sun as well. I just had to psychically adapt. I can just psychically see frequencies, pick up a code, and adapt it in my brain, because my brain used to work like a supercomputer. It still does without neural implants. I removed those neural implants, but I can adapt frequencies. I see frequency and I adapt the coding, whether it's natural code or, you know, created somewhere else. I can adapt it. So your smart suit adapts codes, light code frequencies, and it's sort of, that's how they can upgrade it, by feeding light codes.
Because when I try to meditate or anything, I start getting to a certain point, like my augmentation. I have an augment on my pituitary gland, and like one that's like right behind my eye and like 2 inches from my ear. And those ones will kick off because they don't want me to have any abilities here. So I have to like be in pain and fight as much as I can, you know. And it's not just because like my chakras are clogged or anything. It's just, you know, they really don't want any of my stuff here. And I'm just like,
yeah, so it's like, if the light codes were broken in the wetsuit, your abilities would be forced down and shrunk down. But the wetsuit keeps your physical body and molecular structure intact to have this human form, sort of as the overlay. Because if the overlay is gone, the real you appears. And I can sense the real you. I saw very long pointy ears behind you, and it's like going up this high. Your ears are that high from your head, so it keeps your molecular structure intact, the wetsuit, but it shrinks your abilities, which I don't think it should be doing. But again, every set of beings, ETs, have their own policies and rules. I'm not who am I to say this is wrong?
I knew it was working for some of the bad factions and everything. And it's not like I had a choice in the matter, okay? Everyone needs to understand that they created me, therefore they have my DNA contracts, therefore they get to do whatever the heck they want to me. That doesn't mean that I haven't been fighting back and I don't agree with what they've done. I got put on the bases on Mars. I've seen the human trafficking. I've, you know, been put in the collar, had my clothes ripped off, thrown in the cages, eaten, ripped apart. You know, not all reptilians are bad, but the Dark Draco faction is just a bunch of freaking bleep words that I cannot probably say right now. So, you know, I've met good reptilians. I know that there's ones fighting for Earth, especially the ones on Saturn, you know, so it's just like, you know, but the suits that I have and everything, like if I start getting my quanta built up enough and start breaking my suits, you know, they try to do everything underneath the sun, activate all my augments. I do, you know, astrally I have a cranial bomb still that they could activate, which basically makes me look like I'm having a seizure. So, and you can tell when they're activating because like you can feel the frequencies go into your head that's not normal or into your body.
Mm-hmm.